All right, we're on. We're on the air now. All right. So, Ben, thanks for hopping on the Zoom with me. Um, so yeah, let's get right into it. Just first thing, just go ahead and just describe, what you're doing, what sport you play, what's your
Mm.
major, etc.
Yep. Played here at Kansas State, played football, a life science major, pre-optometry also. So I had a chance. I got recruited out of high school senior year to be a walk-on here at Kansas State. Didn't know if I was going to play football in college, didn't know if I really wanted to. And then I was already going to go to K-State, so I made the decision to play football as well, and it probably one of the best decisions I've ever made.
So, yeah, talk to me about kind of your training to get to the college level in high school.
Yeah, so coming out of high school, I mean, nothing was really taken seriously. Like I trained hard in the weight room, but football wise, it was just practice and then we'd be done for the day. But coming out of high school, so I knew I had to gain weight. I think I was 180 pounds my senior year. They wanted me at like 205.
Okay,
So
go
I
ahead.
started taking started doing a lot of protein. Um, I took a supplement called Serious Mass. I mean, the shakes were like 70 grams of protein and like 1,500 calories. So
Wow.
that's a lot. Yeah.
So, when you got to that college level, where was there like a dietitian assigned to you specifically, or like let's go back. What position were you playing? Because I know you personally. I know that you had some time playing special teams,
hmm
and was it defensive back
Yeah.
or
Yep. I
defensive
was
back
safety. So my main
safety?
position was safety, and then the playing time I got was in at special teams.
Okay, so yeah, with those positions, was there a designated dietitian or athletic trainer that kind of helped guide you through your workout plan slash diet plan?
Yeah. So we had a team nutritionist, Scott Troush. He's awesome. Really smart dude, knew what he was talking about. And he'd work with us personally, like on a one-to-one level. He'd give us a plan of like how many calories we want to eat, to get our body weight up while keeping our fat percentage down, so mostly gaining muscle.
Right.
And he'd work with our strength staff also, so they'd like correlate workouts for each position group and what they need to be eating, calorie intake, and we do a DEXA scan. So it's kind of like a MRI, but it scans your whole body, so it tells you like where your muscles located, your body fat percentage, how much muscle mass you've gained. So we do that like every semester, so we
Okay.
know our results. So we could
Okay.
he and then coming off the scans, he'd organize a nutrition plan for us on like how to keep our muscle mass up and keep our body fat down. So it was pretty scientific.
And would that change from preseason going into the regular season
Yeah,
or
so preseason and like summertime or like during our winter workouts is when we really tried to build muscle, trying to build a lot of muscle and keeping that body fat down. So during like winter and summer, he'd give us a really strict diet plan on how to gain as much muscle when the season came around. Because season came around and workouts aren't as hard because we want to keep the body healthy. So
do you remember that diet plan? If not, it's okay. But I was kind of curious on
yeah,
what
I
diet
think
plan you had.
I mean so they'd provide us our meals up at the complex, so we'd have the training table. So he'd give us each like portion size and how many calories we should be eating and how to track that. I think I was at like 3,500 calories a day to try and gain muscle, but it was all lean protein, so
Right,
nothing with a whole lot of fat or carbs.
right. Okay, awesome. So what did like normal practice look like? And what I'm talking about is just more like resistance training going into like hydration. Just what was like a normal practice throughout the week? What did that look like?
So day to day, I mean, we'd lift in the mornings, get that lift in, and then we'd have like a couple hours off for our meetings and stuff. We'd hydrate a lot. We'd have like liquid IV packets he'd give us, and taking a bunch of like fish oil pills and stuff. So and then before practice, we'd weigh ourselves, and then we'd go out and practice, like 2 hour practice, get a ton of hydration breaks. I mean, the main thing was keeping everyone hydrated and healthy.
Right, especially
Would
those
give us,
hot days. Yeah,
oh yeah, for sure. Out on that turf, it's about
yeah,
110 degrees. So,
yeah.
and then we'd go through practice. And then after practice, we'd weigh ourselves to see how much water weight we lost. And then that'd tell us like how much we need to hydrate and what we need to do different.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So carrying like piggybacking off that, was there anything that the nutritionist slash like athletic trainer had you guys do pre-practice to try to I don't know, loosen you up or like post-practice recovery
Oh
with
yeah, they had a whole system for us. So before practice, we do hurdle work. So we do step over hurdles, and then we do like lunges under the hurdles to get our hips warmed up. And then we'd roll out, have the foam rollers, and we'd have weight rollers where you lay down your stomach and they roll these like 100-pound weights across your hamstrings and your back to get it all loosened up and warmed up. And then we do a bunch of plyometric stuff before practice, band stretching, laying on the ground, stretching our hamstrings, calves,
yeah,
everything.
just loosen you up and then like
Yeah.
post-practice, do they give you any like did you take like I know you were talking about protein shakes,
hmm
anything like that post-practice?
Yeah, so at post practice we do like a cool down, like a little jog, just to keep everything loose, not from cramping anything like that. And then right after practice, everyone would go through the ice bath. So we do like 10 minutes in the ice bath, and then they'd have shakes ready for us and like a little cooler and pickles to get a little sodium level
Sodium
up.
backup.
Yep. Yep, exactly.
All right.
So yeah, they had a whole system for us.
Oh, that's good. That's great. Now that you know, I know you played, I know you played 3 years. You didn't play this year.
Mhm.
But like, what are your thoughts on nutrition after playing for those 3 years? Is that still in your mind? Are you so cognizant when you're eating about what you should and should not be eating?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely cognizant about it. It's definitely harder since like when I played football, we'd have all of our meals provided for. So now that I'm like on my own, I gotta cook it myself and
Yeah,
know how to
right, right. A
meal
little bit
prep.
more time consuming.
Yeah, so I mean, every once in a while I'll stop by and get some fast food, but not a lot. I mean, I try to stay as healthy as I can, and it's definitely not as easy as it was when I was playing ball. And
Right.
I don't really have I mean, I still have a reason to stay healthy and fit, but not really playing at a Division 1 level anymore, not trying to compete with freak athletes as much as I
Right.
was.
So your goals were different
Yeah,
going
for sure.
from, on the field playing ball to now just living your life. Yeah, so like what was your main goal when you were playing? Was it just to try to, I mean, obviously, I'm assuming, go further if you could to that professional level. But besides that, just like I know you talked about gaining mass. Well, is that one of your like a big goal of yours was just to put on as much pounds? And if you did, how much? I mean, I'm kind of curious. I mean, I know you said you were 180 pounds coming out of high school. How much did
Uh-huh.
you end up gaining?
So I think it took me about to my, so like sophomore year, I was 210, and I think I got down to like 9% body fat percentage. So
Oh, wow.
I gained quite a bit of muscle and kept my fat down. And the main thing with gaining that weight is you want to stay fast and twitchy. You don't want to have to get
Right,
big and get slower. So it was kind of
right.
hard. That's why all of our workouts were tailored to that. So most of it was like fast twitch muscle movements, and
Yep.
we'd load it up on weight for sure, but most of it was staying flexible and quick and athletic out there.
Yeah, and that's, like you said, that's a big thing about incorporating more protein, carbs, and less fat.
hmm
Um, it's in order for muscle hypertrophy to happen, building muscle, I mean, you need to have, well, first off, the most essential thing is resistance training. And I know you talked
Yeah.
about how you guys worked out every single day. So
Mhm.
that's huge for it. Also, yeah, getting adequate amounts of protein and not having excess fat because that's when that turns into that adipose tissue. You get lower, kind of ruins performance.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when you get there. So yeah, I 100% understand kind of about keeping that fast twitch muscles, those um, type A fibers going.
Mhm.
But yeah, okay, sweet. Another question, like I guess this is already it's already been said, but um, are you still looking to gain weight now, or are you trying to just maintain where you're at as of now, being not playing ball anymore?
Yeah, right now I'm just trying to maintain my weight. I'm at like 200 pounds right now, so dropped a little bit since football, and I think right now my weight's good for what I need. I mean, I'm still work out and go play basketball sometimes and throw the ball around, but it's not like I'm tackling and or anything like that. So I don't need to be super big, but
Right,
I'd still like to
exactly.
maintain where I'm at and stay healthy and fit. So that's what
Yeah,
I've been doing.
especially because you're not burning as much calories as you were playing football, so you
Oh
don't need
yeah,
those extra calories.
not even
Um,
close to what it was.
yeah, oh, yeah. I mean, what do you say? 3,500 calories a day.
Yeah, we're up to there, yeah, around that area.
I mean, I'm sure you're burning damn near. I mean, just near probably 2,000
Oh yeah,
for just playing.
we'd weigh ourselves before practice. I'd weigh in at like 210 and come out of practice at like 205 or like 203. So like we're losing a ton of
Wow.
weight out there, and it's all
Yeah.
just water weight mostly,
Right.
just
Right.
drenched in sweat.
Yeah, and that's what's key about staying hydrated.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
yeah. Now that we kind of talked about you a little bit and playing football, I just have a couple points to try to I know you're not playing ball anymore, but if you were, I just have a couple like piggyback points on your diet that could help you or anybody else watching. If you are an athlete, doesn't matter if you're in the high school level or college level, pro level, all these points, they distribute equally to everybody. So first thing, carbohydrates. Carbs are essential. You don't want refined carbohydrates, like donuts and bagels and all that. But carbohydrates are actually for football or for those like intermittent sports like football is basketball. Carbohydrates are actually the main energy source that you use because the glycogen stores in your muscles are being depleted throughout your workout. And you guys, especially at the college pro level, I mean, you guys are working out every single day. So it's essential to keep those glycogen stores replenished. Um, and a good way to just do that is stick with minimally processed foods and stay away from, like I said, refined carbs. So, like eating more whole grain foods, fruits and vegetables. People just think that fruits and vegetables have just like sugar in them. They actually have a lot of simple carbs that
Yeah. Hmm.
are essential when exercising, especially at the level that you guys are doing. And they also have essential vitamins and minerals in them. So all around, yeah, definitely just try to keep your uptake on fruits and vegetables. Not so much starchy vegetables like potatoes. I mean, they are good, but more of just those lean vegetables and fruits. Um, and so yeah, for carbohydrates, yeah, that's pretty much it. Just be aware of what carbs you're eating, and those carbs can also turn into fat. So yeah, just be aware of your carb consumption.
Hmm.
And
For
then protein is the second macronutrient that is essential for really any sport. But especially in football for, like you said, gaining mass. I mean, that's one of the biggest things, especially transitioning, like you said, from the high school level to college.
yeah.
You're gonna have to, like you said, you're gonna have to compete with those freak athletes that
Yeah.
are trying to get as big as possible. Kind of the polar opposite for me. I was a wrestler,
Hmm.
and I had to cut as much weight as possible to try to have that competitive advantage. But yeah, with football, yeah, you need to bulk up as much as you can. And like I said earlier about muscle hypertrophy, that's the way that your body builds or increases muscle size. Um, and it's actually interesting because people think just protein will make your muscles grow.
Hmm.
But actually you can only have a certain amount of protein per day to have in order for muscle hypertrophy to be like fully effective. If you
Yeah.
eat too much protein, it really doesn't do anything for you. Your body can't absorb it all and it just gets excreted. Also, it kind of like limits your absorption of other essential nutrients because it's just trying to flush out all all that excess protein that you're consuming. So yeah, actually, all you need for protein consumption is 1.6 grams per kilogram per day of protein. That's really all you need.
Hmm.
For you, it might be because you had a very strenuous exercise program. It was probably a little higher than that, but the average is around 1.6 grams per kilogram a day of protein. Um, and uh, sorry, when you're picking the protein that you need, you can use supplements like those protein shakes are great.
Yeah.
But it's always the first option should always be trying to find a whole food such as chicken or fish that are very lean protein options. But protein powder works wonders. It's just with those whole foods, you get other essential nutrients with them. And protein powder, it's great if you need it on the fly, if you need it on the go. But if you can, and if it's available to you, try to have just those whole foods as your protein source is will be more beneficial in the long run. And I don't know if Ben, if your nutritionist ever talked about the anabolic window, I don't know if you've ever
Yeah.
heard of that before.
After working out,
Yeah, right,
what is it?
exactly.
They
So,
say like 30 minutes or something like that.
right, exactly. And this is also an interesting topic, just like protein consumption. And if you have too much, it actually doesn't, it kind of you plateau.
Yeah.
Same with the anabolic window. There's been multiple studies and they're all um there's really no set evidence that the anabolic window is really after 30 minutes of working out.
Hmm.
It's an ongoing debate right now. Some sources say that yes, like you said, 30 minutes after you work out, you want to have a protein source for that anabolic window, which is pretty much just like the optimal time for your body to absorb the key nutrients for muscle hypertrophy to happen. All other sources say that the anabolic window can happen over a 24-hour period. So
Interesting.
really, yeah, it's really interesting. And because
Yeah.
I always heard of the anabolic window of 30 minutes after your workout,
Yeah.
you want to have a protein in.
Uh-huh.
But then there's other sources saying that it's not. So that can happen throughout the whole day. And really, it just boils down to as long as you're getting adequate amounts of protein um, in your system, you're gonna have that muscle hypertrophy as long as you're still sticking with that resistance training
Yeah.
workout. If you're just eating protein, it ain't gonna do anything for you. So you
Yeah.
got to have that resistance training as well. So that's the protein aspect. That's for muscle, growth and repair.
Uh-huh.
Another thing that you and I talked about was fat. And so, yeah, fat can be, you need fat, but you need the right kinds of fat, and you don't want to have too much fat or or too little fat. So too much fat can put football players or any other athletes at risk for increased fat mass, and
Hmm.
that just that's a given. I mean, if you're eating donuts all day and eating fried chicken all day, yeah, you're going to build up a, an excess amount of fat, which is
Yeah.
definitely going to kill your performance goals for sure.
Uh-huh.
Um, and also too little fat can affect nutrient absorption, um, and which will also impact performance as well. So
Hmm.
you don't want to eat too much, too little. If you're gonna when you're trying to look for fats, you don't want to eat, like I said, fried chicken where all those saturated fats are, because that's when you start accumulating those that excess amount of fat. So what you really want to be looking for are like monosaturated fats, like, and you can find these in like nuts, vitamin like avocados and stuff.
Or almonds a
Um,
good almonds a good option though.
Almonds, yep,
Yeah,
almonds,
they
almonds,
yeah.
cashews, all those nuts that are a little fatty. They have great sources of fats, unsaturated fats. Also, like you were talking about, taking those fish pills.
Yeah, we
Like,
we do a omega-3 fatty.
yep, yeah, and that's another great source of fat. So
Uh
yeah, if you can get those, and that's kind of going back to with the protein consumption. If you can find this, you can drink protein powder, but you don't get, if you're instead of eating fish, you can get those omega-3 fatty acids from the
mhm.
fish as well as the protein, that lean protein source that you can't get from a supplement.
Yeah. Well, that's
Um,
how when like we'd go up and eat at the training table, it'd be grilled chicken, we'd have tilapia or salmon, steak. So most of our protein did come from our food, from our
right,
meal plans. And then I'd
right.
supplement on top of what
Exactly. Just to
protein.
get that extra amount that you
Yeah.
need for your resistance training, plus, for your, to gain more mass. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely get that for sure. Um, and then yeah, so like I said, just limit your consumption of saturated fats. That's really the big takeaway from that.
Hmm.
Um, and then a couple of final points. Really, hydration is key. Like we talked about for a little
Oh
bit.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
how hot was the turf? How
When
hot?
they'd get out, they'd measure it before practice and it'd probably be about 110 degrees.
Oh my, exact. That's crazy. And you're out there for
Yeah.
how long?
About 2.5 hours, 2 hours.
Right. And
But they'd have tents set up so like every 30 minutes we'd get a break and they'd have the big misting fan. So
right.
we'd drink Gator Lights. So it's like a Gatorade, but you dump this packet of like it's pretty much just sodium. So
Okay. Get those
really
electrolytes in.
yeah, a lot of electrolytes.
Right. And because I mean, playing on that turf at 100 degrees for
Yeah.
2 hours, I mean that just creates so many risks of, I mean, dehydration,
Mm.
heat stroke, muscle cramping. I mean that's another thing with electrolytes. So yeah, hydration is as key as all the macronutrients that you need. And I think that not a lot of people understand that, they take it for granted
Hmm.
of that, oh, I don't really need to hydrate, especially off the field, like that's another thing for your muscles to recover. You need that excess, that extra amount of water and electrolytes to help your body recover. Um, but yeah, so it's super key to performance. Prevents dehydration, like I said, muscle cramping. That's why, Gator Lights or just Gatorade. That's why, like, I would recommend when you're playing, slash like in practice, Gator Lights or Gatorade, I prefer more than just drinking water because it has those electrolytes, those essential electrolytes that you need, in order to keep your performance up and going. When you're off the field, slamming Gatorades 24/7 isn't the best. It's got all
Yeah.
that sugar that's in
A
them.
lot of sugar.
Right. But the water, water off the field, when you're on the field, I recommend, yeah, sticking with those drinks that have those electrolytes to keep you
Yeah,
in play.
for sure.
Um, and then really finally, like just for football, and if you want to go to that college level, that pro level of, gaining weight, yeah, and I mean, I'm sure you've done it, so
Mhm.
I'm trying to talk to you about this, but you were part of it. You were in
Yeah.
it, so you know more about this than I do.
Mhm.
But some of the tips that I've found on the internet of just like a healthy way to gain weight. So in order to gain about like 1 to 2 pounds per week, um, you should add about 500 to 1,000 calories per day. So equivalent of like an extra 3,500 calories per week.
Yeah.
And that's across the board. So people are gonna, fluctuate throughout, on that spectrum.
Hmm.
But in order, but you don't want to just slam, 5,000 calories a day and think like, oh yeah, I'm gonna gain weight. If you want, because then you're just gonna start building on fat. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what's gonna happen. So in order to have that healthy range of gaining weight, 1 to 2 pounds per week, yeah, you want to have about 500,000 calories per day on top of what you should already be eating, that caloric intake that you already should be eating. Um, so yeah, essentially, just eat more calories than what you burn off. Um, Eating 4 to 5 meals per week is usually a safe bet in order to weight gain as well as your training.
Yeah.
And then there's plenty of ways to replace or to eat foods that in a healthy way to gain more mass, muscle mass than fat mass. Um, so like one of the ways, just snack throughout the day. Protein bars are big. Nutrition bars. Eating more cereal. And with that cereal, that like instead of, I mean, you need to be drinking water throughout the day, obviously, but replacing some of those low cal drinks with some like higher calorie dense drinks like milk, milk, lemonade, just kind of added more calories than, like a water would get you or
Yeah.
whatever, like a sparkling water would get you.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I really wish, and that was really all of the key points that I wanted to come across. And like I said, you've been through it for 3 years. You know more than I do about this. Was there anything that I said, or is there any takeaways that you want, that you thought were important to tell anybody that? And I mean, I don't really know if anybody's gonna be watching this, but any athletes that are watching this that want to gain weight or or high school athletes that want to go to that college level, is there any words of wisdom, words of advice that you want to tell them?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is you got to have a set plan on how you want to go about gaining muscle or weight. If you just go out there and say, I'm going to eat 4,000 calories a day and just work out, like you don't know how many calories you're burning or how many you're taking in. So you need to know like the caloric intake you're doing, how much more you want to take in than you're burning. So that's a main thing is higher caloric intake than you are burning. That's how you gain that weight, but you got to gain it smart. You got to gain it as muscle. I mean, like you said, you got to have the fats in there. I used to eat almonds and nuts all the time. We'd have trail mix laying around and protein shakes, protein bars, like constantly snacking, especially when you're working out once a day, running it once a day and having practice a day. It's huge to have that caloric intake. But I mean, you just have to have a set plan and go about it smartly if you want to gain muscle in the right way and keep that
Right,
body fat down.
right. Did you ever use MyFitnessPal?
So we talked about that. That our coach, like he'd set up plans. He'd always print us off these packets. I don't know if it was MyFitnessPal he was using, but it was a program like that where we could track our calories and proteins and stuff like that. He always told us like for football players and the things we were doing, he suggested 1 gram of protein per 1 pound of muscle a day to get to grow
Yeah,
muscle mass and grow some more weight on. So, which is I'm guessing a little more than what would you say 1.6
yeah. Well,
grams
yeah,
per kilogram.
yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah.
pretty close, but he'd always tell us that just get around 1 gram protein per pound of mass.
Right, right,
Hmm.
right. Yeah, I know MyFitnessPal. I mean, I use it, and it's a great way just to track, like you said, your caloric intake. You can plug in every food that you consume. It tells
Yeah.
you all the macros, all the micros that are in it. So that's a great way if you don't have access to that professional nutritionist, at your
Yeah.
disposal, you have these apps that. aren't the same. I mean, it's not as nice as having someone there that, has been through a lot of schooling that knows what they're talking about. But it is, it's a good way to just, know and be aware of what foods you're taking in, and how that will affect, your body composition.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, well, that is really all all I have for you. Thanks for coming on and allowing me to talk to you about nutrition, and thanks for giving me your input on, nutrition and, dieting and whatnot. So,
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for your tips too. It'll help a lot.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'll see you later. I hope you have a good break. And
Alrighty, you too.
yeah, all right. See you, man.
All right, see you, Brady.